iTunes, Google Podcasts. I'm your host, Tyler Fines, and with me as always are my co-hosts. I'd like to say hey to Adam Styles. What's up, fella?
Hey, how are you? I want to just point out, did you say Spotify's?
Spotify. That's sick, by the way. I didn't, but I will from now on. I did not say Spotify,
That's good.
but I will, dude. That's nasty. Absolutely. No, my boy Mikey Walker. What's up, fella?
Hey, how are you? I just want to give a quick shout out to my boy Jackson and Joe Reddick down in North Carolina. Thanks for tuning in, fellas.
Oh, that's awesome. Got some boys watching from the deep south. And then obviously we got our boy Jason, a.k.a. Dart Guy, coming off his inaugural show with Mr. Biz Nasty. No big deal.
Not a big deal. Thanks for having me, guys. Pleasure to do this, and looking forward to getting into this with Aaron here. Hell of a hockey player in his own right.
And again, he's trying to spoil my fun here. He's just hosting, trying to take over the duties already. We welcome Memorial Cup winner with the London Knights and current ECHL Brampton Beast player, Mr. Aaron Berisha. What's up, fella?
Just living it, buddy. Just living it right now. How's it going?
Pretty good, man. I was just giving you the chirps. I know not anybody listening to this on the podcast, but they can see it live with your glasses here, flying in the room like the Hanson brothers. I like that.
Just the blue lights. I gotta get ready for bed here, buddy.
This guy's already fallen asleep. He's got to run a skate at 7 a.m. There's some 8-year-old ankle benders that have the dream still in mind.
Hey, the learning doesn't stop here. Speaking
of learning, these guys may not know, but you're skating like a crazy man. You know, what are you, 20? You're 25, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that, about how much you've been training with nothing going on.
Yeah, I mean, just obviously taking advantage of the time we have. You know, we're lucky, and some guys are, taking it easy in a sense. And for me, I have an opportunity to skate, quite a bit. I can almost skate 5 days a week, a few times a day. So for me, it's not bad. Like, I'm not really gassing myself out. And some guys are, in a sense where they're like, if I skate too much now and be too tired, and I'm not going to kind of have the drive, when it comes to the season. But, we don't know when the season's going to happen. So for me, I'm just taking advantage of the time right now.
That's awesome. Who have you been skating with?
Colin Chalk's been one of our main guys out of the Hockey Factory. We had Ryan Kavanaugh, Zach Fitzgerald, and then we're at Journey Excel in the NASCAR Center. Well, now I think it's called the Ford Performance there with Adrian Monaco. Perfect.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting in some good rips. Well, we're glad to have you on the show, and we got some sick London Knight fans here. They just love the Knights. They just be stroking you off all practice or all games. So I'll just I might as well just let them do their thing here, and Jason, I'll just sit back and listen for the rest of the show.
I love
it. Wait a minute. He used to play for the London Knights. Yeah, I'm out, guys. See you later.
That's it.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm one of those London Knight fans, huge fan. That's my junior team. I'll have a lot of questions being Knight related, but I want to start off with kind of the big news in the OHL going on and the no hitting, and kind of want to know what's your views on that.
I mean, I just don't think it makes sense. I know a lot of guys obviously talked about it, and I mean, I know I think she's the Department of like Sport or Ministry of Sport, but it just doesn't make sense where there'd be no contact yet. The guys are in a room, the guys are sitting together, they're going to school. So there's just, there's other places where they can maybe, isolate them. But if they're really worried about the hit portion, you can't really have hockey without hitting, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Well, the one thing you're talking about here is, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier. How does a 3 second, a split second contact with a body check, how is that any different than sitting on the bus for 5 hours?
Yeah.
Or how is that any different than, if you can't hit the guy off the puck, you're going to end up in a puck battle in the corner, pinned against the guy for 15, 20 seconds, or you could just go in, hit him, take the puck, and go. It makes no sense.
Or leaning against the guy at a face-off, give him a chirp. Those happen. You know what I mean? Like any of the above, yeah, it's pointless.
Yeah, like there's so many different situations on the ice where, you're in way more, close proximity. And for an extended period of time, just like you're saying at the face-off, would be like, unless they're doing no drops, which then it'd be like a pickup game, wouldn't it be hockey? It'd be like an ODR game.
Aaron, I just want to touch on your overall experience in London. Like, what was, as in London being like one of the premier junior clubs out there and so much success in their history and such, like what was it playing for such a club like that and under the Hunters?
It was amazing. I mean, coming from Belleville, like I was trading beginning my third year from Belleville to London. And I mean, fitting right in, it was wild. Like, the coaching staff, right down to like, the management, they treat you like a pro from the get-go. And that was like the biggest thing I noticed was like just the culture. Like, guys there, they have that culture where like, we're breeding NHL players here. It's not like we're playing junior hockey. We're training and we're practicing and we're getting ready for, the next level. So that was like just something that for me coming into it, I was shocked, and it was kind of, nerve wracking almost every practice. Like you're trying to impress because you got, Dale Hunter out there, almost 20-year, NHL vet. And, you got tons of these guys that like Baz McRae, like, watching the stands, Mark Hunter watching the stands. So you have all these guys that you can, lean on for information and just kind of get some feedback on your game and, your practice habits. And that's all they want there is they want to just, get the high turnover rate of just pro guys.
Absolutely.
So, Aaron, also, I'm one of those London Knight fans.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to touch in. You hear about how the Hunters are professional, as you just said there. How much did they help your game in becoming a professional hockey player?
I think they're, if not the biggest help, just right up there. Just from the practice habits, like I was talking about, just to, just some game things, like a lot of details that, you don't really learn unless you're kind of taught. Like they, especially Dale would come in and practice. And for me as a, more like a scoring, like smaller forward, especially like Dale's not a big guy. And he was just kind of making sure that, you kind of knew exactly like how you can play and how you can, become a pro in a sense. Like some guys, they might score 40 goals in the OHL, but, they're playing third, fourth line in the National League. Or if they're, even trying to make it to, AHL and stuff like that, they got to, change their game a little bit. So he knew exactly like, for most guys, what their roles would be at, for the next level. And he made sure that guys, weren't, shy in a sense or, weren't disappointed in taking those roles, whatever they were.
Cool.
Aaron, when you were in London, I think it was just the 1 year you played with the Rupert brothers, but I think it was Matt Rupert you played with.
Yeah.
Kind of touch on, I think you probably played against him while you were in Belleville, but what were they like to play with, and I guess kind of against, as I was, like I said, a big Knights fan, and I was big fans of those guys, and I really thought they would kind of take off more in their careers than they really did, but that's another story. But yeah, what kind of really like playing against, and what really like to have on your team?
I love playing with Matty. He was probably my closest, my first year. We just connected really well. And I mean, he was a quiet guy. So it's funny because you see him on the ice and, you've seen a kind of a hothead in a sense, and, he does some crazy things, but he's such a quiet guy off the ice. And really, even in the room, like you wouldn't really notice him. Yeah. You wouldn't really notice him maybe if you didn't really engage in a conversation with him, but he was one of the best guys, like just super nice guy, but he can just flip the switch, when he's on the ice. And both those guys, like they put up tons of numbers. Like they, were so effective, like just getting on the guy's skin, and, they both could score. I think they probably had like 30 goals each, in their last years there.
Yeah.
What were the your last year in the O there with the Knights? What were the big three, I guess you could call them, like to the team, in the room, on bus trips, and just generally with teammates?
Yeah, they were like no other guys. Like, a lot of people would think they might have, had this, bravado, or like kind of walked around with a little bit of swagger, but they were just like any other guy on the team. And I mean, they worked so hard, like any of our days off there, and, they're coming in Monday, Tuesday, our normal days off after like a 3-on-3 weekend. Most guys are taking it easy, not skating. We have like Dwayne Blaze from TPH there in London, and he'd come out. Chucky'd be working on skating. Some guys would be working on some skill stuff. And it's, it's like these guys they're putting up, 3, 4, 5 points a weekend. And, they're all obviously well established, but they're still, chipping away at it. And I really pushed a lot of other guys, and especially the young guys, to make sure that, they're accountable. They're like, guys, so I'm seeing these guys that have got ready 50, 60 points this year, like Marner, who's already established, Dvorak, and they're, these guys are still putting the work in. So for the young guys coming up and seeing, especially these, they weren't older guys, but they weren't young guys, they're in the middle of the pack there, but they were just pushing, the pace every practice, and especially off the ice as well.
Well, that team you had there, I mean, it was unbelievable. Like you said already, Dvorak, Marner, Tkachuk. You keep looking a little further down the depth chart. You got Max Jones, Ulevi, Victor Mete, Cliff Poo.
Yeah.
who out of those guys that is maybe even can't even forget, don't want to forget Bouchard, because I think he's got a long career ahead of him too. But out of those, you know, maybe I don't want to call them second tier guys because they're all fantastic in their right. Who do you think is going to maybe open some eyes over the next couple of years, maybe surprise some people with the development of their careers?
Well, honestly, like I think every guy's got a chance, and I mean, I've been working out and skating with Cliff Poo a lot, and so this whole summer we've had, I think the last like 3 months we've been skating together, and I mean, I know he hasn't really had the luck of the draw in a sense. He had a couple of bad injuries the past couple of seasons, but just like for me seeing him on the ice, I just don't get how he's not, you know, a steady in the AHL and producing, because it's, you know, skill level, speed, and just his work ethic. Like he's skating 2-3 times a day sometimes, like minimum I would say 6-7 times a week. You know, on top of working out 5-6 days a week. So his work ethic is second to none right now. So I'm just really hoping he gets a chance and he really get the chance to just show his stuff.
So anybody in Dynasty Fantasy Hockey Leagues, write that name down right now. Cliff.
Yeah,
you'll get him late in the draft next year.
The underdog.
Hey, Aaron, you know, talking a little bit about your upbringing, kind of who you played with coming up. Maybe some coaches that you worked with, or some, you know, just some of your minor hockey days, and you know, how did you get the draft process, things like that?
I was very fortunate. I played for the Domino's Flyers for 5 years there. My first 5 years was like AAA hockey, and I had Bobby Marshall. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that name, and Scott McLennan, and those guys were phenomenal for my development. Just like early on, like my parents didn't have a background in hockey at all, so for me, I was just whatever I learned, you know, in practices and in games from those guys was just kind of what I was, you know, kind of using. And after I moved on to Marlies my last couple of years there, and I had Ken Strong. I'm not sure if you know that name. Yeah, so Ken Strong, you know, another guy that really helped me, you know, especially just like some scoring details. And, you know, a lot of people say you can't really teach scoring, but he had a knack for just like really making it simple in a sense. And back then when you're, you know, 14, 15, all you want to do is trying to go bar down, and he was just one of the guys that always said, like, you know, aim for over the pads, like 18 inches off the ice. And so when you're that age, you know, you never really think about that because no one's really talking to you about where to shoot on a goal. You're just like, well, I'm gonna, you know, aim for the open spots. But, you know, those kind of, you know, little details and stuff like that, I used a lot, you know, going into my last year minor midget there. And then obviously, you know, getting drafted to Belleville was kind of a different process because I didn't commit to Belleville my first year of eligibility. I went to prep school. So my story was a little bit different when I went to Salisbury. Like my parents really wanted me to go to NCAA. They really pushed for it. But in the end, like the old got me. They dragged me back. So, no, I'm not mad about the decision at all. I mean, early on, you could say that, you want to see how the other side was. But I really enjoyed my time in the OHL. And I mean, I know a lot of guys have gone to NCAA and enjoyed their time. So, you know, you can obviously say, you know, pros and cons against either option.
Yeah, we really haven't had too many guys that have gone to U.S. Prep. Let's talk a little bit about the U.S. Prep school going down to Salisbury. You know, what was that experience like? And, you know, you got any dorm stories? Did you live on campus? Because you're young. You're getting into crap, dude. You're getting into crap. I know you personally. You're getting into crap for sure.
Well, I mean, you're going to school 6 days a week there. So it was that was an adjustment itself, like Monday to Saturday. That was wild. Just the whole like outfit too. Like you're wearing a blazer, you're wearing this, you know, the tie, the khakis. So for me, I was wearing, you know, sweatpants and like my team tracksuit to school every single day. That was the big adjustment for me as well. You have to make sure, like, you know, I didn't have facial at the time, but if you had facial hair, like, you know, had to be well kept. Those were kind of weird things for me because I wasn't used to that at all. Even like in, you know, my family settings, no one's really getting all, you know, dressed up to go for a family dinner. We're just, you know, showing up and stuff like that. So I think the way that, you know, you carry yourself at prep school was different. You know, we had like chapel every single week, and they had these like, you know, Princeton grads, like Harvard grads come in and talk. So I really enjoyed that part. Like it really, you know, gave a different sense of, up until then I was only athletics for me. That's all I thought about was just hockey. But prep school really opened up like my, you know, academic side, and, you know, it really made you kind of enjoy school, which I never thought I'd say at that age. And for me, it was a big learning process in that sense. But, you know, the games, that's the only thing I didn't really like about it was you only played 30 games. And, you know, I saw my buddies that were playing the OHL their first year, and I was just like jealous because I'm like, that's all I want to do is just play hockey. So that was kind of my decision to come back and sign in Belleville at the time.
You kind of talked about earlier, Aaron, about playing hockey, and you won the OHL Cup, and you also won the MVP award. Your long names is such as Connor McDavid and Shane Wright. Kind of speak much.
Holy crap!
Speak much. What kind of honor is that?
Marbles, get the marbles out.
Sponsoring the show.
What kind of honor is that for you to be along such big names?
I mean, at the time, it was just wild to win that trophy for us. I mean, that was a crazy year that we had. I think we won every tournament except for the I don't know if it was a silver stick at the end there.
I forgot you play with my boy Nick Ritchie.
Yeah, Nick Ritchie, Chan Frony were some of the big names. Subban, we had Perklin, David Perklin, Cody Thompson. So we had a great team there, and it was just cool for us to cap off like our junior or minor hockey careers in a sense, and winning like the most I guess prestigious trophy that you can win, at the time.
Absolutely.
And again, your coach was it was Ken, right?
Yeah, Ken Strong was there.
So for people that don't know that are tuning in that might be from the Toronto area, Ken Strong and Dan Brown are probably two of the most prestigious coaches in the Marlies organization for a long time. And I don't know if even Walks or Styles know those names, but Dan Brown is Connor Brown's dad.
Okay.
And these guys have won. Oh my God, I would love to see their totals. Like if you typed in Dan Brown coaching record, like it's got to be above 700-800% play coaching for the Marlies. I mean, what did Kenny mean to you as a coach?
Oh, he was awesome. Like you never know what you're going to get. I remember OHL Cup. Actually, we were down to the Flyers, and he came, and I'll never get it. And he just booted the garbage can halfway across the room. There's like
classic
crap in there, and it was just spewed all of our guys' bags, and it got us fired up. And then we came back obviously to win it. But that was something I'll never get. But that was kind of the guy he is. He had so much emotion, and he really cared. Like a lot of minor coaches I hear nowadays just don't really. They're not in it for the same reasons that when I was growing up, I saw the coaches in it for. And it's sad to see because for me, those guys, I can tell, I can say to myself that I learned a lot, and I see my little cousin especially going through it, and you really want to see the kids like develop and stuff like that, and that's where they're going to develop the most is through their coaches in minor hockey.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Mikey Walker's taking notes right now. That's for sure. You see the smoke coming out of his ears, head buzzing. He's going to be the kick the garbage can guy. Game 3 in the regular season when everything gets back to normal here.
Oh, we'll see how that goes. Yeah,
I love it.
You had a year over in Europe. Just kind of elaborate on that. Like they say it's more of an old school hockey game over there. What was your take on it, and how did you find the experience?
Well, the overall experience was amazing. I mean, the hockey was weird. You didn't really have systems in a sense. Like our head coach was Miroslav Reicher. I'm not sure if you know. He played for the Leafs there back in the day. And he had some health issues. So we had 2 Czech coaches that were pretty much on the bench for most of the games, and they didn't speak a lick English. So every practice, they run us through every practice. Like we had no idea. And we had about 5 or 6 imports throughout most of the year. And they're all Canadian guys. So for us, it was just kind of just go on the back of the line and just guess what we're doing. But, even in games like, power plays and stuff like that, you couldn't really change anything in the middle of the game because we had no idea like what they were trying to get to us. And so you're having one of the Czech guys like just beside you like translating like, hey, like so and so wants you this, or the coach wants you to do that. And it's like you had no idea what was going on. So for PKs, you couldn't really like adapt if his team was like especially on PK or like special teams where a team was like adapting to like your style. You couldn't really make those game time changes. So that was like a weird take for me, just because it was such a big part of me in junior and even in university hockey. They're like coaches, okay, well they're reading the drop pass or something like that on a breakout. Okay, we're gonna hit a stretch pass. Like that was something that we didn't have in Europe, and that was just something weird for me.
Well, that's putting a lot of faith and trust in your teammate that you just met not long ago, that he's actually translating the proper information to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was at restaurants and stuff like that. You had no idea what they're saying for you.
I was actually just going to ask you there, Barish, what was the food like in Czech?
It's pretty much the same all across there. Like if you go Austria, Germany, Hungary, it's all the same. It's like goulash soup. That's a big staple there, schnitzel. And I loved all the stuff. Like I had no problem with any of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it all. And for me, it was so cheap to get like a meal. Like your beers are like less than $1. You can go out to eat every single day and it maybe cost you like $5-10 Canadian.
Jeez.
It was great. Like a full meal.
Well, we're living in the wrong country right now.
Yeah, seriously. So it was nice. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it. Just
and they're still playing over there. Like that team is putting in games right now.
Yeah, they dropped down to check 3 there.
Oh, there's that. Well, okay, yeah,
that's how they got. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, I was gonna say they got Anthony Luciani playing over there. That guy's a beast.
Yeah, he went back. It was crazy because he had some offers from the Dell and the Finnish First League there, Liga, but it's his 3rd year there, so he was feeling like a king. He wanted to go back and he met a girl, so he said,
a guy comes over the red line, takes a shot from the red line, goes top corner.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Luch is good, man. That's awesome. Brish, what you're playing for the Brampton Beast in the Coast, and obviously you're not playing any hockey right now. Just talk a little bit about that, how that process went, and how do you end up in the East Coast League, and who contacted you to make that team?
Yeah, well, coming back after everything, like pretty much a shitstorm it was. We didn't have any idea what was going to happen, going back to Europe. So I was just talking to my European agent there and my North American guy. And, they were like, well, we can try to go back, same league in the Ebel. I'm pretty sure it turned like the Ice League or something like that it's called now. But for me, I was just like, well, I feel like if I stay in Europe here, I don't know if I'm going to come back in a sense and try North American hockey. So I was like, I'm 25 years old. I'm young enough where I don't mind going to play in the coast here and trying to grind it out in a sense to make a name for myself here. So for me, it's just, worked out in a sense where Brampton's coach Spiros reached out to me and I was like, well, it's 10 minutes away from my house. And, that was like kind of why I really started thinking about it as well, was I didn't really, think about much when I was coming, in the summer in July there, because I didn't really think there was any hockey coming up. So when Brampton's coach reached out, I was just like, well, this seems like a good fit there. They have a lot of call-ups to the AHL and proximity to AHL teams I looked into too. So that was one of the main reasons why I chose Brampton.
Cool. Aaron, back to your times in London. You guys won 17 straight games on your run there to the Memorial Cup from, I believe, the 2nd round all the way to your Memorial Cup win. Just kind of what was the vibe and mood like in the dressing room, and like just kind of explain what the experience was like on that little run you guys had.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
Can't lose.
We talk about it now.
Clear eyes, full
some of the stuff that we did. Oh, it was crazy. Some of the stuff we did was we pushed the limit in the sense like we were really loose, and I mean we kind of just had a really, really big confidence going into every game, and somehow we'd be down 5-0 or 4-1, and we'd find a way, like Marnes would come back with 3 goals or something like that. I remember in Kitchener, where it's just like there's some of these games where we had everything against us. And, somehow we find a way, we just claw our way back. And then we kind of roll with it. Like, we weren't really thinking about it until I think they came out with it in the member. When we went to the member, they said, oh, like, these guys are on pace to, I think we had 14 or some of that before. And then they made a statement saying that if we won, I guess, one more, we'd be, broke the CHL record or something like that for most postseason wins. And that's when we started thinking about it. And we're like, well, guys, we got to, not up here in a sense, and then we pull it through.
Fine, Z. Can you explain something to me? When did this turn into a London Knights fanboy podcast?
Oh God, man, I don't know, dude. I was thinking the same thing.
Like, listen, that's a great accomplishment, but come on, guys.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if anyone's gonna ask, but that Memorial Cup, like, I don't care about the win. I really care about what was the after party like.
It was a tough plane ride home. That was everybody was going that night. I mean, everybody. You had, honestly, every single parent, anybody, like any friend that came, like our GM, our coaches. It was, everybody that had a pulse was getting into it, and it was unbelievable.
Did anybody have a Pat Maroon moment where they peed their pants holding up the cup?
No, none of that. I mean, not. No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody did anything like that. I mean, couple guys were hurt the next day. That was the difficult part. Was the early plane ride. We had like a 7:30 a.m. Flight back to London.
Half you guys didn't even sleep. It probably didn't even matter.
No. I just remember just lying across and just spending like 45 minutes straight in the plane's bathroom there, just just trying to get something out. I was just dying, but
that could be the port. That could be the Port Dover Sailors one day.
Well, you know what? We're rebuilding.
Oh, Jesus.
Cap problems.
Yeah.
At least Caledonia's not in your league anymore. You don't got to worry about them.
Well, no, yeah, they're a loop ahead of us, and yeah, they're basically the New York Yankees of that.
Who's the big money? Who's the big money in the Junior C world right now? Who's got the big coin? It's normally it used to be like Hanover and.
Well, Grimsby's. I don't know how much teams spend anymore because a couple teams got caught for it. So,
wow.
I guess they must have saw Todd Cooper's truck.
Yeah, it's all towards university funding or college funding now. So, like Grimsby, they've been good since I played junior. Glanbrook, they're pretty solid year in year out. So I mean, there is teams that do spend a little more than what is allowed.
Yeah, some up our way.
Aaron knows about the London Knights.
Yeah, some of the junior C teams our way. I can put a little more money out there, but
Sorry.
No, Aaron's not going to say anything. No one's going to ask him. No one's got the ball to ask him. No one's got the ball. And everyone in and listen, when it's airs on Rogers TV channel 20, there's going to be Kitchener Rangers fans be like, say it, just say it, so we can take this recording and we're going to put it in so these guys never exist again.
Oh, we're gonna end up in trouble with the Hunters like Biz did on Chicklets there.
Yeah, we're not big enough yet, so it's all right. And I don't know them, they don't know me, so everything's fine. Do you stay in touch with any of those guys at all? Berish?
Which guys?
Any of the coaches or anything from the Knights or anything like that? Do you guys stay in touch?
Yeah, I mean, in the summers, I was going back quite a bit, obviously up until this summer. So we see the guys, you drop a text saying, hey, I'm going to be in it for the weekend. So we usually meet up with the guys at, some of the local watering holes there.
London's a terrible town for that, too. London's a boring town for that.
Awful.
And I always dread going up there for a weekend.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. The girls aren't pretty.
No.
No.
Freaking love London, man. That's a great place to play. What was it? What's it like being a Knight? I don't know if we really have asked that question. What's it like to be a Knight?
It was it was cool in the sense that for us, just seeing 9,000 people in the stands. I had in Belleville, we had I think maybe 3,000, but just the atmosphere. You can't really change just people. You can't change having 9,000 in the stands and just going wild every single night. It didn't matter if it was game 1 or game 68. They were going insane. So scoring a goal that you couldn't really replicate that feeling anywhere else, and especially anywhere else in the league. There's a couple of ranks like Erie and stuff like that. You could see their home crowd was pretty wild, but I mean, yeah, there's nothing that beats the London atmosphere, and that was probably the most enjoyable thing that I miss in a sense. Was just how loud it got, after any of us scored big goals.
Well, they say a lot of the guys that play for the Knights, even if they don't make it to the NHL, they almost feel like they did just by playing in, an organization like the London Knights, right? Just because a lot of guys don't get, a lot of guys play because they want the glory. They want, there's more to just playing the game. There's more to it why you play, especially when you're young and get into it. Anybody says different's lying. They want to hear the cheers. They want to hang out with the girls. They want to drink with the boys. They want that. They want that that lifestyle. It is a lifestyle, right? And yeah, what's that?
I was going to say, largest crowd I ever played in front of was 1,500, and I still felt like a rock star. So
yeah, man, Temiskaming, I'll tell you, Temiskaming, Quebec, we had 1,200 playing up in Quebec, and I mean that was on a, just a random night, and they can drink in the stands. They can't do it in Ontario because the liquor laws, right? But I mean, they're all banged up in Temiskaming, so it's a great place to play. You never know what you're gonna get. But I don't know. What do they draw down at the West there? Walks? Do you guys get fans, or just mommy and daddy?
Yeah, usually mommy and daddy and the the locals that might be thirsty on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, they got the what's it called going there? The Blue Line Club, $3 Pabst beers, Pabst Blues.
Yeah,
I caught a Dunnville Mudcats game there a couple years back. And,
Mudcats.
There was a couple people that got pretty rowdy in there for I think it was a Sunday afternoon as well.
Well, the GOJHL, the Junior B loops, in those small towns, man, they draw too, right? Listowel, Elmira, anybody that's up that area draw for sure. I'm not really. I never played in the West, but Stratford was wild, like especially in the playoffs. We never got to the playoffs because I probably only won 5 Junior B games in my 3 years of playing, so I don't really know what it's like to win. But I can tell you what it's like to beat a team after losing 20 in a row. It's like you won the Stanley Cup.
Got to take the little wins when you get them.
Hey, it was a terrible year, and I think I told the story once about having Chris Chelios' brother was my coach, Steve Chelios, and this guy was an absolute maniac. And he said, I don't know what his brother's like, but I've got a few of those Steve Chelios stories that will not be airing on Rogers TV, Channel 20, and I'm not going to sue her guy. That's for darn sure.
Absolutely.
Aaron, I've talked to a lot of guys that played the O, and usually every one of them has at least one interesting fan interaction story from when they were on the road somewhere. Anything that could air on Rogers TV that comes to mind from you?
No, I was pretty calm when it came to fans. I definitely didn't engage with them as much as some guys did, but I didn't mind, especially in the penalty box. I know in Erie was insane. Like before games, we'd be walking out, like fans would be hucking beers, and this is like I think my 3rd year. Then they installed like the protectors over, so they couldn't really throw anything at you. But Erie was always insane because I know they had like when they were playing us, it was like $1 beer night or something like that. So everybody was liquored up. And
I thought for sure you were going to say Kitchener Rangers, but all right.
No, most guys thought so too. But it's we didn't really have a rivalry with them. We always just kind of ended up like playing them just so many times, obviously like in playoffs and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, the games were intense, but Erie, for some reason, because we always played like a home and home against them, it was like a Friday, Saturday, like you're on the bus for 6 hours, going back home after the game. So those were always like, for me, the most intense games. Like we always want to beat Erie, and they had a great team. All 4 years I was there, so they had some studs come through there, and it was always enjoyable going down there because you never knew what the fans were going to get up to.
Well, if none of you guys got a number on the back of a caramel bar after losing a 10-1 hockey game, raise your hand.
That's it.
This guy did. Absolutely. When I was good looking, boys, lose 10-1. It sure brightened up the coach's smile when he walked in the room laughing, and then through this caramel thing, I read it out for the boys of some girl. I scored the only goal. We were up 1-0, then got shellacked 10-1 in Stratford.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude, if you can go look back at the Orangeville Thunder, I think they probably deleted it off of Elite Prospects, but if you look back at Orangeville Thunder Junior B, they probably can't even post the scores because it looks like football numbers. Like some of the games that we lost was pretty embarrassing. So it is what it is.
I was just shocked that I was telling the boys a little before we came on air. I was a Sudbury born and raised, so I was a Sudbury Wolves fan growing up. When I moved to the Kitchener-Waterloo area, I had, I'd go and watch the Rangers games. I'm a hockey fan, but when the Sudbury Wolves came to town, well, I'd bust out the old Wolves jersey and go down to the Odd wearing my Wolves jersey. And I literally had like a 60-year-old grandmother, 70-year-old grandmother spitting at me.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Because I was in my Wolves jersey. So when I asked you that question, I thought for sure it was going to be the Odd.
That's awesome. No, they've been pretty mellow. I mean, maybe those fans just weren't near the penalty boxes or near the benches and stuff like that. Because that's only when we got some crazy interactions or anybody walking out of the tunnel. Like I remember one of our guys, I think it was my 1st or 2nd year in Belleville, had like a 10-game sussy for, I think it was sticking a fan because he was throwing something at him while we were walking out of the tunnel. So it's just like those are the only times where fans can, you guys can really get involved with it because most time fans will just chirp you from far away. And for some guys that, they either get at them, but for me, I just like brushed it off. I wasn't really, into that stuff.
The one game I went to, Max, I was sitting right beside the box, Max Iafredi, getting in the box there, and there I was sitting in my Wolves jersey, and he looked over and asked me if I wanted his autograph. I said, no, but can I have your dad's number?
Yeah, that guy wasn't afraid to give it. That guy was not afraid.
Aaron, there was a question there. What was it like, to be a Knight? You kind of look at the long list of leaders that played on that team. You wore an A your last year. What did that mean to you when they said, "Hey, we're going to put a letter on your shirt"?
No, that was a really good feeling. I mean, especially my third year there when we had a couple guys move on, they were older guys, and we didn't really know kind of where the team was heading, just because we kind of not really sold the farm, but we just sold. We got rid of McCarron and Murmis, and so we didn't know how the next year was going to be. We had like a bunch of 98 guys coming in, so we didn't know how these young guys were going to turn up and stuff like that. And that was the year that Horvath was supposed to come back, but obviously Vancouver kept him. So it was kind of a weird year where we could have made a run for it because we definitely had a team for it. But then we ended up trading a couple big parts of our team, and we obviously had a really young roster moving into my last year there. So for us, coming into the season, we didn't have many expectations, and myself included. For me, you never know really as an OA if your spot's there. Obviously I had a good third year there, scoring a bunch of goals towards the end, but you never know really if your spot's locked in or if they're going to trade for another scoring guy or whatnot. So for me, it was really kind of just showed that they had faith in me as a player and as a person, just to kind of be an integral part of the young guys coming up.
Kind of touched it, Aaron, on the parents. You ever? I guess you probably meet Ty. What's he like as a human?
Yeah, well, I was fortunate to play my first couple years of minor hockey with Max, when we were 7 years old. So it was always really cool because Ty was bringing through that was the time when Matt Sundin, Brian McCabe, Thomas Cowboy, all those guys. So we'd be playing games and we'd have these guys walking through our change rooms after. It was so those are some memories that I'll never forget. Yeah, and that's he took us a couple times to play in the intermissions there at the ACC. So for me as a kid growing up, it was always just I was always in awe, the kind of character he had. And after obviously playing with Max his last year of junior, and then Ty was coming around quite a bit too. So it was funny just kind of fast forward in 10, 15 years, and still the same kind of guy. It's just still a character. It didn't change at all his persona. So it was always awesome. He was always great with us, and I can't say a bad thing about him.
Do you have any of your old coaches' memories where they just absolutely chewed you guys out in a dressing room?
Yeah. I mean, we lost to Guelph pretty bad. That was our last year, so our Mem Cup year, where I think it was 8-2 or something. That we got smoked by them, and they were terrible that year. They were so bad. And I remember Dale just shout
out to the Guelph Storm.
Yeah, they were just really bad that year. And I mean, it was just something that I think the next day we bagged for I want to say an hour and a half straight. Just every drill was just some sort of compete drill, 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s, just 2-on-2s, was just nonstop. Then we did a bag skate at the end, and I think we went on a 10-game winning streak after that. But it was just something we're oh my god, where we just knew we deserved the kind of the skate that we got. But he didn't really say much. That's just the funny part is we just showed up the next day for practice, and you just knew that it was going to be that kind of practice.
Being a goalie, Aaron, you played with Malcolm Subban kind of in his first year. Looking like in Chicago, he's kind of going to get that number one role. Think he's ready for that role, and what's he bring to the team?
Yeah, I've never seen a more athletic, athlete in my life. That guy is unbelievable.
That's a big statement. Why? What makes him such a great athlete?
I don't know. I just don't know what it is. I remember this guy. He'd be in the gym and stuff like that. This is back in Belleville, and we had a community center right next door to the Yardman. And he'd just be dunking, and he'd just go jump he probably had a 34 vert, just some of the stuff he was doing. So flexible, so strong. I was just holy smokes! I'm coming in there. I'm barely doing one bench press. For our training camp.
You and Sam Bennett have the same workout plan?
Yeah. I was just, skating around the ice. So that was, for me, I was just seeing these, especially these monsters. Even Brendan Gaughan's my first year there, I think he just got drafted to Vancouver, and he coming in he was a fridge, he's 220, 6'3", whatever he is, and I'm holy
he's smokes. A monster, man. We met him the other day. I can't believe you guys have no idea how big this guy's a beast.
Yeah, so for me as a young guy coming in, I was just blown away by some of these guys, physiques in a sense, and just the way they were able to move on the ice. And that's why for subs, there's not a surprise that he's going to be moving in that role, because his work ethic definitely, and he's kind of been bouncing around. He's had some tough times, in backup situations. So for him, if he gets his chance, I think he's for sure going to be able to take it.
Aaron, your Memorial Cup ring. Tell me you've got it on right now.
That's only come out I think one time at my aunt's wedding, the summer after, and that was about the only time it's too big. It's too ridiculous.
I'd be wearing that, flashing it around everywhere.
What do you think it's worth? I know it's an OHL, I know it's not the NHL, but what do you think that thing was appraised at?
I think it would be around 10,000. I remember we got these forms for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
Whether or not they were lost or stolen, but it's so huge. It just doesn't even look normal on your hand.
Yeah.
I got a couple of buddies that won the Minto Cup, and man, they either the All Canadian Lacrosse Championship, and that I know it's not the OHL, but my Mem Cup, sorry, but I mean those rings are ridiculous. I got a championship ring, and they're not as big as those ones. That's for damn sure.
Oh, I'd be walking into the bar and be like, "Yeah, can I get a?"
If you can wear your championship ring, not very big.
Listen, are huge. I had a NASA ring. It wasn't even OFSA that I wore.
Mom and Dad made it for you. They called up Cornigan's or whatever the hell that ring company is. They're like, hey, can you make this grad ring into a long jump ring or whatever the hell?
I had my graduation ring as fall.
The graduation ring, wow. Guys in the stone cutters. Hashtag Simpsons reference. Berisha's like, what did this guy just say? That is way over my head, young.
Go back.
Yeah, too far ahead. Way too far ahead.
Aaron, how heavy was the Mem Cup when you lifted it?
Oh, that's a crazy question. I mean, for me, it was
pretty heavy because you can't do a pull up.
I was just scared that I don't know if you guys saw that. It was a couple years before where I think it was a
they broke it.
Won it. Yeah, so I was just like, come on, don't fall right in my face or something like that. Don't just split in half.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, that was just something I didn't want to do. Just drop it by chance or something.
It's an awkward looking trophy though, because it looks really bottom heavy.
It's so beat up
because it's wood, right? The bottom is all wood, and then the top is light. So you're not holding that thing right way. You're going to be in trouble.
No, you're carrying it mostly from the bottom, but you're just thinking the whole time, please don't break in half or something. So
that's crazy.
Hey, Aaron, you kind of touched on it earlier. We kind of said who do you kind of think of who you played? You played a lot of talented guys. Who do you think that hasn't kind of had their shot that should have kind of been seen? Hasn't kind of cracked the NHL. Who do you believe?
Aaron Berisha.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take the
probably have a couple guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can just tell a lot of the young guys, especially my last year there, I had a chance to play with a lot of the 98s, and I mean, you saw even the 99s like Robbie Tom, who won a Stanley Cup the past year with St. Louis 2 years ago. So for guys like that, coming to the mold, and I think Oli, Ulevi, he had a couple bad injuries, with Vancouver there, and he was in the SHL or something like that this a couple years back. So I think he's definitely ready to take this, the step to the next level. And I know he was in a bubble there for those guys. So that's a lot of good exposure for him. So just, for right now, it's a lot of guys just trying to stay healthy, it looks like, and just getting their chance because they have the skill, they have the confidence, but obviously if you're not healthy, you can't really play. So for them, it's probably just trying to stay healthy and just get into games when they can.
You know what? I actually kind of want to piggyback off that question because, Aaron, we got a lot of kids that you coach and skate with, and obviously for myself, just coming up as a coach, you're one of those guys who, you put up 72 points. You played a lot of minutes in that team, yet you haven't got a shot yet. What's the difference between, yourself and maybe a couple other guys that are getting the shot? And, what do you got to do to make that next step?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't really know exactly what's, kind of separating me for, obviously you could say size, but that's just a limiting factor.
Yeah, but you are BS. I can't say it because we were on live here, but we're going to be on Rogers TV, but you were a brick beep.
Matt can do work. Matt can do work.
Yeah.
and I mean, that's the thing. For me, it's, I was always thinking maybe that was it. Maybe that was my limiting factor, but I mean, I'm just trying to work on it, the things that I can control, and that's just, increase my overall speed. And, I've always had a scoring touch. So if I can just score, East Coast level, AHL and that's kind of just what in my head I think is going to separate me and maybe give me my the chances that I didn't get along the way in a sense.
Do you still want to play? Like, do you still have that aspiration to make it to the next level? Like, I know you're still playing, but man, you're 25 years old, and for me, you're still young. I know some guys it takes some guys don't get there till they're 28, 20, that's 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, that's you put it right there. I mean, for me, I never really looked at it as the end of the road right now, and I don't think I'd be playing hockey if I didn't love it. Like, going to the gym every single morning, skating sometimes 2 times a day. I just don't think that you could be doing that if you didn't love it. And that's where, for me, I just never really looked at it as like a job. It's always just been like, this is so fun for me. So why am I have a chance to, make a decent living right now playing the game. Why would I stop that in a sense? I have a degree, but why would I go get a desk job when, I have a chance to play hockey for as long as I can. So for me, that's why I love it. And, going on the ice and especially in the gym, you're never going to have those memories and those interactions in an office space or wherever, whatever job I end up getting down the road. So I'm just trying to play as long as I can.
Yeah, you can come and hang out with us in the office there at the factory, and we can talk hockey and get the kids signed up for spring and all the fun stuff.
Exactly.
You're not ready for that.
Yeah,
You're not funny for that, eh? Not ready. He's not ready. He's like
5 more years, maybe five.
Can't hang out with you pigeons. We're not there yet.
So, Aaron, as a coach and scout down at the junior C level, you said you're working on your speed. Do you think that size really plays a factor in today's game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I never really looked at it until obviously going through like the draft and stuff like that. I was like, not really trying to make an excuse when I was younger, but I was just like, oh, like what could be it? I'm like, oh, I was like 5'7", I was like 5'6", I was like 150 pounds, 160 pounds. And over the years, you get bigger, you get stronger. And I think just overall speed, you can't, I guess, change that. So for me, it's just, I'm a fast skater, I would say, but it just like lateral speed would definitely help me more, just getting around bigger guys, that have the reach that can, that my stick length just won't get across. So for me, it's just working on those little details that I can try to separate myself from like those bigger players that, are obviously like everybody's a good skater at the next level. Everybody can shoot, so it's just kind of getting a little separation gap where, you have a little bit more time to make a play. And I mean, obviously you can see there's tons of guys that are smaller players in the National League that are thriving right now. So just, for me, I don't know what it's going to take, but, if I can just score some goals and, that's what I think is really going to help me, separate myself, score some goals, just be a consistent player, every game.
Well, that kind of answered what my next question was going to be. I was just going to say, with being a smaller guy and having the success you did and you are still enjoying right now throughout your hockey career, what advice would you give to a younger kid who's looking at it, their career right now and saying, oh, I'm never going to get drafted because I'm too small. I'm never going to make it because I'm too small.
Yeah, it's funny you asked that because there's a guy at our gym that recently just didn't get drafted who's ranked quite high. And he's pretty much the same stature as me, and he's a phenomenal skater. And, he's in a sense, he's 19 or 18 years old. And, he's questioning whether or not he should still play hockey. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head like, dude, you have so much left in your career. And obviously it's demoralizing not to get drafted, when you're ranked so high. But, just I'm telling him, like, you can still make a hell of a career to hockey, have so many more memories, instead of just thinking, because he was just thinking, like, maybe I'll just go to school and, maybe this hockey thing's not for me. And I'm like, you have 2 more years of junior hockey, let alone, how many more years of hockey you have left in your, another probably 10, 12 years if you want it. So it's just like, for me, just seeing guys that, and obviously it is tough to not get drafted. Like, that's your dream as a kid. You want to get drafted in the NHL. Like, there's no doubt about that. But if it doesn't, if you don't get the call, then just seeing how you respond. And I mean, yeah, there's going to be a couple weeks where you're going to be down on yourself, but you got to just think about, like, what you can do to improve your, your game and kind of, in a sense, carry that chip on your shoulder. So whatever that takes. And I think, when those young guys come up that might not have the size and might have some, limiting factors, like, just still there's so much you can do in hockey.
Well, you can make a lot of good money and have a great career, even if you're not in the show.
Absolutely. And just the memories. I mean, for me, I had a chance to get a free scholarship to go to University of Hockey, played great hockey there. I met a ton of great guys when I was out east and, got a chance to play hockey in Europe. Like, how many people can really say at 24, they got a chance to live in the Czech Republic of all places. So obviously, you want to be in the AHL, NHL, but, you got to enjoy the process along the way, and wherever, life takes you, got to enjoy that. So that's, kind of outlook I've had the, past few years. And, obviously, there's days where you're looking, you're like, gosh, I want to be there, but, I'm enjoying myself right now. And, I love the game. So, wherever it takes me, some, ranking, Czech Republic, I'll be there.
Well, you know what? We always like to end on a positive spin, and you couldn't have put it any more positive than that to wrap up you coming on with us. So, Aaron, I know the boys really appreciate your time, and obviously the London Knight fanboys over here are absolutely loving you coming on. And like you said, I know Aaron personally. He's a great kid and a good guy, and like you said, we wish you the best, and we hope that this COVID thing ends so you can put some pucks in the net for the Brampton Beast.
Thanks a lot, boys.
All right, it's Aaron Berisha from London Knights, now Brampton Beast in the East Coast League. Thanks for coming on, fella.
Thanks,
Thank
Aaron.
you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Take care.
Cheers, guys.
It's Aaron Berisha coming from the London Knights. He's going to be